And tell us a little bit about your own experiences on the commission. You've talked a little bit about your qualifications, but I'm curious, is that often one of the thoughts that comes out in this campaign is that do you have an axe to grind coming into this with your disagreements with certain commissioners? Would you please address that?
It's an excellent question, and I would just point to my what will be 6-year record as a commissioner. I mean, I've certainly been attacked, I've been investigated, I've been accused of stuff that had no basis in fact. There was no preponderance of evidence to accuse me of such violations, and yet we would see it. Well, that's the majority working to suppress the minority, opinion holders, myself. Retaliation was certainly possible, I would think, with the power given to me by the people to, fight back, and I just choose not to do it. I see that they're personal attacks, and they're meant to, spin perceptions about me, as Terry was asking a question about earlier, and I just don't do it. I'm more interested in the positive outcomes, hopefully, to improve county government. Again, I would like to know where is the example, because we're taped. And we're recorded if we're not videotaped, when we're meeting as Port Authority commissioners or however. Where is it that or how is it in public records that I've retaliated? It's kill the messenger, and the messenger doesn't have to try to, fight back. It can stay on message, and that's my preference. I prefer principles over personalities. Hopefully that's in the public record. I'm certainly here to say that that's my understanding of my record, and I would challenge anybody to show me how it's different.
And if elected, certainly you had to, by state law, you had to resign to run for this particular office. If elected, do you expect to serve a full 4-year term, and do you have aspirations for any other offices after this?
Well, here's why I had to do what I had to do in the middle of a second term. And I know how some will say, well, you're vacating or abandoning an office. But see, the choice to not run again was Clerk Green's, and he did so in the middle of this term. I would have preferred that he waited till the end of my second term or maybe third term if I would have run for re-election. But that's not the case. So I had to make a decision in a short time frame as to whether or not I take this opportunity to run for an open seat or if I wait. So I chose to go earlier. Now, I'm leaving a safe seat because I had 2 more years, right? That's a political personal risk. I'm potentially subjecting myself to the risk of going unemployed in this economy. I'm investing, as I've had to do in other races, some personal funds to run this race because people don't see in their own best interest why it would be to donate to races. So I prefer to run in races where I think I can win. There's a 4-year term if I should win. And I prefer the race to be one that I am qualified for. And I think those are the criteria to which I applied this decision, and I hopefully have made the right decision.
With regard to future political aspirations?
I love local government. It's the government closest to us as citizens. I don't look to go to state or federal level. It's not in my thinking. I've had people outside of the state suggest that I should do so I can factor in some social issues. I'm not there. I'm not into that. I'm a 5th generation Lee County and born and raised in Fort Myers. I have ancestors that go back to the first Board of County Commissioners, Chairman William H. Tolles. My great-great-grandfather, William Chester Bigelow, was a City of Fort Myers City Council member at that same time in the infancy of our county and the City of Fort Myers. My father has served. It's in my genes. It is a passion that is as deep as those 5 generations of roots, and I like where I'm at. I didn't choose to be born here. Very glad I was, but I certainly choose or wish to end my life here. And so I want to help the quality of life improve. I think county government is where the action is when it comes to improving quality of life.
We have 5 minutes left of this interview.
If elected at the end of your first term, what will you look at to see if you were successful?
if the office is functioning more efficiently, courteously, if it is, if we've capitalized on its strengths, if we've improved its weaknesses, as I've described, I can see some on the forefront in the financial markets, investitures, that could be weaknesses we're going to have to strengthen up. I've talked about the audit department, which I'd like to turn Inspector General's office. I could enumerate here how I would do it, but generally I think you understand where the goal is at the end of my first term as clerk, and how, you know, my yardstick, if you will. Also, I think it should be well known, for the sake of the citizens, that we're going to have to get personnel costs in line with private sector costs, because what we are paying in salaries and benefits throughout the county government, I'm talking about, you know, the government I oversee right now, but in constitutional offices as well, it's just entirely too out of whack. And that is a problem that goes to the root of the trust and faith and confidence that our citizens have in government. And you know, it's going to happen to me as much as anyone else. I'll have to carry more health care benefits, have to contribute more to my retirement fund. It's not that everyone else will have to feel more financial pain, but I think the citizens expect us to get right with reality. You know, I currently, as a commissioner, fund my own cell phone. I'm constantly looking at my travel budget and taking off you know, reimbursement forms, so I'm assuming it. So I believe that I've been, you know, true. My actions have been following my words.
Okay. With regard to the just the office itself, you know, one of the things that I often think of is just that millage rate going back again. You know, a few years ago, it was suggested that by current clerk, retiring Clerk Green, that the millage rate should have been dropped by 20%. And I think this was before you took office. This was in 2006. Do you have any perspectives on that in terms of guiding the county when it comes to issues like taxation, in terms of what the levels they should be at?
To advocate a personal policy opinion, I think, is wholly inappropriate for the clerk. If I am elected clerk, you would never find me in a public forum debating another commissioner. Once the audit is complete, and I will have participated in it, though albeit with public participation and an improved auditing process, which would include performance audits, and I didn't get to talk about that, but we could. Then it's done. For the, you know, the clerk has had his say. Objectivity versus subjectivity, something I'm always on the watch for. I was at Tuesday's board meeting trying to advocate that contractor selection committees, made up oftentimes of a county manager, a director, and a subordinate to that director, serve on a committee to choose. Well, there is nothing that applies to those members that says they can't make decisions beforehand. And if you look at the minutes of their meetings, they're very short and brief. It's like they made their decision beforehand near a water cooler or something. And I'm saying, you've got to do this more openly and transparently. And then you've got to determine criteria by which you measure them objectively. Because it's looking like it could be done subjectively, you know, who's who kind of stuff, not what, who knows, you know, not what people or vendors, contractors know and their talents. So I would apply that same principle to myself as a clerk, and I would still steer very clear of advocating for any policy decisions, whether millage cuts or programs such as 2020 cuts, which I believe the clerk he's kind of been shy but still present about it, his opinion in that regard. And I would not go there. I just wouldn't go there. I understand and recognize policy decisions are in my current list of job duties, but I'm leaving that behind to go serve an oversight position, which I think is most effective if done objectively. You undermine your credibility as a clerk when you do those kind of things.
We've come to the conclusion of the interview. Are there any final words you have?
I do, and I'd like to say that if I'm elected as the constitutional leader, as I believe is what we do here in the county, as we do throughout the state. We elect leaders to be our constitutional office holders. I'm the one person in this race that has the proven track record to ensure the public's will and interest will be sought, they'll be sustained, and they'll be represented by our next Lee County clerk. And I'm Brian Bigelow. I hope to be the next Lee County clerk. I've twice been humbled and honored to be elected and then re-elected, and hope that the voters will see fit to elect me once again as their clerk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.